Side Hustle Show 265. It's Instagram marketing, how to get more followers and customers on Instagram. What's up? Nick Loper here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, because life's too short to waste doing work you hate. 800 million people. That's how many people are on Instagram as of late 2017, early 2018. You think you can find some potential customers among them? Well, I think so too. And that's why I put this episode together, all about how to set up your account for success and grow your following the right way. Now, as of today, I don't use Instagram much for business myself, but I think it's worth mentioning. It's actually the first app that I open up in the morning on my phone. That's like some nice mind share in marketer speak, right? For Instagram to have. And I know I can't be the only one. So to help school me in the ways of IG for business owners, that's what the cool kids are calling it, right? IG for business owners and side hustlers, I invited Allie McAdam to join me. She's an Instagram strategist and host of the Passion in Business podcast, which is actually almost exclusively about Instagram. You can find her and her podcast at alliemcadam.com. And if you want to check her out on Instagram to see how she practices what she preaches, her username is at Allie McAdam. And you'll notice that she's not like a mega Insta-celebrity with millions of followers, at least at the time of this recording. She's more on our level, or maybe a few steps ahead. For example, she took her own account from 300 to 3,000 followers in 6 weeks, and now she has over 10,000 followers. Stick around to hear how to set up your profile, what type of content to post and how often, and how you can begin to connect with your target customers on this super popular, but maybe a little tough to crack social network. Notes and links from this one, plus a free downloadable PDF highlight reel with all of Allie's top tips from this episode, are at sidehustlenation.com/Allie. It's ALLIE. With invoicing, time tracking, estimates and proposals, expense management, and one-click tax summaries, it's no wonder why 97% of small business owners recommend FreshBooks. FreshBooks.com is the #1 affordable accounting solution built specifically for side hustlers and freelancers. I want to thank FreshBooks for sponsoring today's show and for helping 10 million entrepreneurs, myself included, get paid. As a Side Hustle Show listener, they're hooking you up with a 30-day completely free trial at freshbooks.com/sidehustle. Now's the time to get your books in order. That's freshbooks.com/sidehustle to start your 30-day free trial today. This edition of the Side Hustle Show is also brought to you by designcrowd.com. DesignCrowd is the crowdsourced graphic design platform for logos, for websites, business cards, book covers, t-shirts, you name it. It's a service that I used for the cover of my latest book, Buy Buttons, where I had a dozen different designers from all around the world submitting their ideas and competing for my business. Then we were able to go back and forth and tweak the designs, and I was able to solicit feedback from the Side Hustle Nation community as well. I thought it was pretty sweet. And as a Side Hustle Show listener, you can get up to $100 off your next design project at designcrowd.com/hustle or with promo code HUSTLE at checkout. That's designcrowd.com/hustle for up to $100 off your next design project. I'll be back with my top takeaways from this chat with Allie after the interview. Ready? Let's do it.
The way that you can figure out if this is the right platform for you is, one, more often than not, your audience is there. I know it kind of gets the stipulation of being that younger generation platform, but it is definitely growing. And the viewership of the people who are active on this platform is, the age range is growing, and the interests and likes and the demographics is growing. Yes, your audience is generally there. It really just matters on how you're going to market to them, how you're going to resonate with them, and really how you're going to build that relationship with them to move that relationship forward so that you can get them off the platform later on and move them down that pipeline of, we call it the sales pipeline or the sales funnel, but I like to call it the relationship pipeline, just to keep that moving forward.
I like that too. Don't funnel me, bro. Yeah, I like to build a relationship.
Don't funnel me.
So do you recommend for clients or for yourself, like, to put, if you're, trying to set up a business account, would you put it under your personal name? So I have, like, my Instagram is nloper. Should I have a separate Side Hustle Nation Instagram? What do you recommend for people there?
This is really easy to answer because it comes down to answering an actual question. So if you're wondering whether or not you should open up a personal account, or if you already have a personal account and you're wondering if you should maybe have a separate business account, or maybe you have a business account, but you sell multiple different services or products and have different demographics of different audiences, which sometimes happens as business owners because we do that. We like multiple streams of income. For some reason, we seem to think that that works for us. And so what you need to do is you need to answer the question, are you resonating? Are you able to connect with one specific target audience so that you can give them a specific solution to their specific problem? So if the answer is no, if you're not speaking to one target audience, then you need to split your accounts, which means that you either need to have multiple business accounts, you need to have a personal account and a business account. It means that you need to figure out how you're going to answer that. Because what happens is if you have one account for all your different umbrellas of all the different types of businesses that you own, or maybe you have a personal brand, but then you also have kind of like an agency on the side, let's say a marketing agency. What you need to realize is if you have one account and you're speaking to your marketing agency clients, potential clients and audience members, but then you're also trying to speak to, I don't know, your family and friends or your personal brand people who maybe you're trying to sell courses to, those are completely different audiences. And you're going to really alienate them and have that disconnect, and you're not going to be able to move them forward down that relationship pipeline that we were just talking about before.
Okay. So let's say I want to set up my business account so I don't alienate my friends. What else do I need to do to set that account up for success out of the gate?
So it depends on the type of business model that you're running. I really, really like the personal brand, but obviously there's lots of different kinds that you're going to be running. So if you have an actual business, or maybe you're opening it up for your podcast, you want to be able to understand that you need to open it up a certain way. So one, you want to change it to a business account. I know some people are scared of doing this because, as we know, Instagram is owned by Facebook, and Facebook tends to make you have to pay for your viewership or for people to be able to see you and to get reach, to puts down that organic reach. So they're scared that if they upgrade their account, I say upgrade, it really doesn't cost you anything. But if you change your account to a business account versus a normal account, they're worried that their organic reach is going to go down. That's currently not the problem. But of course, everyone's worried about that because, let's face it, it's Facebook. We don't know. They're changing all the time.
Is that just a checkbox in the profile?
Yeah. So when you set up your account, it's not actually like when you're setting it up, you won't see a checkbox or anything like that. But when you set it up and then you log in, you can go to your account settings. If you scroll down a little bit, you can connect it to a Facebook page. Once you've connected it to a Facebook page, then what you can do is you can turn it over to a business account. And what comes with a business account is you can get analytics, you get to see your target audience, your followers, you get to see the age range, where they're from, what posts are getting the most engagement, the most likes over a certain amount of period. It's really, really great. And you can also manage, this is kind of newish, you can also manage Instagram ads. You can boost your posts directly on your Instagram app, which you weren't able to do before. So that's really powerful as well for businesses.
Oh, okay. Any best practices in terms of what to put in your bio and like the sole tracking link or the sole URL that you get in your entire account?
So when you're setting up your bio, there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. First of all, your actual bio description is not searchable through Instagram. And I want to note that because the only two items, and most people don't know this, but the only two items that are actually searchable, and by searchable, I mean when you open up your app, you click that search button, you can search for hashtags, you can search for usernames, and you can search for names. But you can also add in keywords to those names and those usernames. By username, I mean your handle, what you tag someone with. Those two things, your username and your handle, those are searchable. So if you add in keywords, like for instance, your name, if you're a personal brand, you can put in your name as Allie McAdam and then / Instagram marketer or Instagram strategist. I put in my title so that it's searchable and it has those keywords. So if people are searching for them, they can be found. You can also do this if you're a chef, if you're a coach, whatever it is. Adding in those keywords helps you be found a little bit more and it optimizes those two elements. I know it's so simple, super silly to think to optimize such silly things, but it can make a difference.
Okay. No, I had no idea. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And then with your bio, what you really want to break it down to is a couple of different elements. First of all, you want to be able to obviously state who you are and what you do. That can include your title, your description of your business, just a quick idea of what it is you do. Next, you want to add in some personality. And this is actually one that a lot of people skip. And this is the one thing that's really going to help you stand out, especially if you're a business. You might have so many different competitors, but the things that's going to help you stand out is your personality, whether that's the personality of your team or the culture that you're creating around your business, the feeling you want people to get. Your brand is basically, obviously, how you want people to feel when they think of your brand name. So that's the personality you want to put in to your bio. And of course, you are limited to the characters of this. So it's really hard sometimes to figure this out, but it can be done. People are doing it all the time. You have to be really selective with your wording. A couple of other things to include your bio. So just a quick recap, that's your personality. You want to have personality. You want to have the basic title and description of who you are. And then you also want to have a call to action. You want to tell people, okay, here's the value I have to offer. Now click the link below so that you can get ABC, so you can get XYZ results. So you want to have that call to action to move them forward. It's so simple, but it's silly how telling people what to do do makes them do it. Even though it's obvious, that link is there, they can click it, everyone knows it's clickable, but telling them to do it actually improves that conversion rate. And also you're letting them know, hey, you get this. And also it's even better to have that link be like a freebie or a download. Or for me, I like to obviously send them my podcast because I love podcasting because you can connect on people in such a really deep way that I don't understand, but you're in someone's ears, right? You get to understand with them. So my point is, pick a link that you can use that'll send them down that relationship pipeline, that'll put them on that next level. Do one more thing with you so that you can have a micro conversion to end up giving a bigger conversion down the road, which could be a sale, having them join your membership, whatever it is that you're offering them.
Okay. So let's look at your profile as kind of an example, as an illustration of this. So I'm on Instagram.com/Allie McAdam. Her title of her page, so her handle is just Allie McAdam, but then in the title it says Allie McAdam, comma, IG strategist, and then the bio is passion in business podcast host, IG marketing strategist, mama of a too sassy for his own good 3-year-old. There's the personality bit, and then the call to action, listen to the latest episode of the show, alliemcadam.com/passion in business podcast. Are you able to track clicks on that link? Because I've seen people do bit.lys or do kind of pretty links where they can kind of say, I can quantify now the traffic that's coming from Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really glad you asked that because that's definitely one of the things you really, really want to take note of. Because, I mean, you could be sending all this traffic or having people click on it, but you'll have no idea they're clicking on it. You have no idea how they're converting or where they're going from. And that's the whole point, right? So, yeah, I definitely recommend that. I like to use Pretty Link. That's definitely a really great tracking code to use for your URLs, but you can also use Bitly, or there's also Google. You can also use Google shortener. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to take your URL and put it into one of these shorteners and put it on Instagram. Now, one thing I want to note is if you're going to use a URL shortener for your bio links is I want to say that if you're going to switch up your link every now and then, which you should every now and then, because you want to switch it up, you want to have different people going through, offer different items so that you can test and see what's working and what's not. I would always change that link and also change the different tracking. And also, if you change maybe the landing page, one thing that I didn't do for a long time is if I was testing out the landing page and then figured out, oh, this orange button works so much better than the blue one, I'm going to change that up. But I wanted to split test the different landing pages and also the conversion rate of the traffic going through there. You can also change the URL by changing up that Pretty Link, but having them go to that same landing page, if that makes sense. So I also tracked not only when they landed, how they converted, but also how the conversion of the actual traffic went once they were going through, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Okay. You can just set that up in Google Analytics.
Yeah, you can set that in Google Analytics. You can also do this by setting up those pretty links and using different pretty links for the different tracking, for the different tests that you're running. This is kind of one of those things that it takes a little bit to think of, but when you go through it, it's really nice to have that data to go back to and refer to and to move forward and building whatever funnel that you're trying to push people through and funnel them.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing that I've seen people do, especially if you're new on Instagram, like if you don't have a huge following, is trying to put some element of social proof into your bio where it's like, hey, look, I might only have 200 followers here, but join 100,000 monthly readers, or some other element of like, hey, look, I know what I'm talking about. People love me. I just don't have a huge following over here yet. What kind of content do you post? Because like I never know what to, I post probably like once a month. Like I never know what to put on these pictures.
I know. And it's one of those things, it's definitely an afterthought. Like if you do decide in the big picture to add Instagram into your overall marketing strategy, even if you decide that, it still comes down to that time of day where you go, I haven't posted to Instagram for like, I don't know, a week. Maybe I should do that. And then you'll go to publish and be like, I don't know what to publish. And then you'll be like, oh, I'll just do it another day. Or you'll slap dab something in there just to be able to say that you got to post out. I totally get that. I do that all the time. It's definitely one of the things that my listeners say that they do. So what you need to do, and this is actually something that I've really put a lot of thought into because, I mean, I've had to, because I've ran other people's accounts. I've had clients where I just manage their accounts for them to build their business and do their marketing for them on this platform. So I've really had to hone down on that content strategy because that is where it's at. One thing that people don't think about is, okay, I've got to get people to click on that link. I've got to get people to my website. I've got to get people to join my Facebook group. I've got to get people to join my membership. But they forget that they have to actually get people to that link to join your membership, to join their Facebook group.
It's still a content-driven platform.
Yeah. So you still have to add that value first so that you can, like I said, have that micro conversion to make them want to move forward with you. And that happens within the content strategy, within the posts that you're publishing. So the way that you can create a really solid content strategy is, one, to sit down. And what I do first when I'm working with clients or within my membership, because I have a membership that I help people, it's called the IG Impact Academy, where I teach all this stuff. And what I do with my members and with my clients is I say, okay, first you need to pick what types of content you're going to publish. Now, there are so many different types. And I know people are going to be like, types? What? Huh? What's that? They're probably thinking, okay, there's images and videos, right? There's actually, I'm talking about, are you going to post quotes? Are you going to post tips of the day? Are you going to post how-tos? Are you going to post videos? Are you going to post promotional items? These all the different types. And what you need to do is pick out the different types that works well for your specific business and the value you want to portray or give to your audience, but also, of course, adding on those promotionals so that you can, make money. So you're not just running a hobby, you actually have a business, and you need to figure out those types. Next, what you want to do is you need to figure out how often you're going to be publishing, because what a content strategy comes down to, super simply, especially on Instagram, is what you're going to be posting and when you're going to be posting it. So figure out what types of posts you're going to be posting, figure out how many times you're going to post, and dedicate yourself to doing that. But the way that you can actually more simply do it is think, okay, what does my audience want to see? Or better yet, if I was my audience, which more often than not, we kind of are, we build businesses off of what we're passionate about, what we like to see, what we like to do, a solution that we had for a problem that we had. Think of what you want to see, what your target audience wants to see, and then test it out. See what works. And going back to that conversion, that traffic topic, you want to make sure that within your captions, and this could be a whole other topic, but within your captions, you're making sure you're giving that call to action saying, here's your value. Here's why this post is so awesome. Here's a quick tip or whatever it is that you're offering. Hey, by the way, you want more? Click that link in my bio so that you can get my freebie, so that you can get XYZ, so that you can get whatever it is that you're offering. Go listen to my podcast. We do that all the time on so many other platforms. On Facebook, on our podcast, we often have sponsors where at the end we'll say, hey, did you like this? Great, go check out my website. But we forget to do that within our social content, particularly on Instagram, which you can do within the captions.
With the images, are these just pictures that you're taking? Or are you putting like stock photography, or trying to make them look like super polished? It seems like it's a life. You're trying to illustrate the life, especially like if you have an e-commerce store, you're going to show your product, in the wild. Or if you have a kind of a personally branded thing, like that's a little easier because you could say, well, here's me going about my day, doing my thing. I don't know. It's just like, it seems, I guess you can always follow the leader and see what other people are doing in your space, but it just, I don't know, like the default is always like, well, does the world really need more motivational quotes or something like that?
Yeah. And motivational quotes, they can do really well depending on your audience. But again, that just depends on you and your specific audience. But I like this question overall because I think that it's definitely a big question that a lot of people have, but it's a question that a lot of people don't answer. So you got to think about obviously what your audience wants and all that jazz, but then you also got to think of, okay, how am I going to create this content and how am I going to create it well? And how am I going to enjoy creating that content? That's also a question people don't ask. So the types of content that you could be creating, and I'll give a couple of examples for different business types for different audience members who are listening to this. Maybe it could be helpful. One could be, let's say that you're an e-commerce store and you want to be able to push people to your e-commerce shop or to maybe get a promotional item that you have going on right now. You want to create content around that promotion or around that product. What you really need to think about is the types of content you're going to be publishing, right? Because that's what I mentioned before. Pick the types of content. Now, a type of content a lot of e-commerce shops don't integrate into their content strategy is lifestyle content. And you actually just mentioned that. You really want to portray not just, hey, here's my product. Oh, here's my product again. Oh, and by the way, here's my product again. Yeah, like different angles, which is great. Yeah, definitely integrate that into your content because you want people to know what you're selling. But it can, I don't know, it's kind of like a billboard of an account, you know what I mean? And you want to be able to add value and let them know that, hey, this product, this service, whatever it is you're selling has a solution for them. And you got to be passionate about it and show it through the lifestyle around that product. So one of my biggest clients that I had when I first started out with this whole business gig, I did a lot of web design before and I worked with a lot of jewelers. And so what we did is instead of just showing jewelry, which is totally easy to portray, right? Jewelry is gorgeous. It's so easy to take photography for, and it's really easy to just put out there and say, hey, this is gorgeous. Yeah, we think so too. But what we would do is instead of just showing lots of different product images, we would show the lifestyle of it. So we would go and let's say if you were a Park City jeweler, we would show like the Park City lifestyle. And what you would do if you go up there, you show the skiing, which we talked about before we started recording. We would show, the lifestyle around everything, the fall fashion that with the ring that would go with that fall fashion, or if rings or jewelers, they obviously go with weddings. So you'd show the lifestyle around a wedding and the planning around a wedding.
Okay.
Right. So in this, I can go on and on. So you can do that with your e-commerce shop. Let's say, obviously, your personal brand. You said you can show, behind the scenes of your business, you working on it as a podcaster. You could show you setting up your messy desk with all of your equipment and the million different cords and everything you have going on, which is silly, but people like to see that because they resonate with it. It makes you personal. It makes you someone that they can be friends with, which makes them someone that they're more likely to open up their wallets to. Not in a really bad way, in a really, really good way. And there's lots of different ideas and types of businesses that we could share. Obviously, I shared e-commerce, personal brand. What else? Brick and mortar store. This is so funny because so many people think, okay, I have a brick and mortar, or let's say I'm a dentist. I don't know how I'm supposed to use this Instagram thing to make it work for me. When actually we can go back to that lifestyle idea, show off the lifestyle, show off your content. Another way that you can do it as a brick and mortar store is show off your customers. Get their permission to say, hey, did you enjoy this? By the way, we'll give you a 15% discount if you just go and show your experience, or take a picture of your teeth smiling, looking beautiful like you are on Instagram, so that we can reshare it on our account and we'll give you a discount. And not only are they going to be like, oh, heck yes. I mean, if I got a discount for my next teeth whitening, I would definitely go and just take a selfie and post on Instagram, right? Most clients or customers would do that. And then you got content that you can take. It's called user-generated content, and you repost it to your own account. Not only are you featuring your audience and letting them know, hey, we care, but you're also showing your actual product or service through them.
Have you found a sweet spot of how often to post? Is there a rule like, man, if you don't post every day, you're going to get, downgraded in the algorithm or something like that?
When I first got started, I this is going to be really bad, but I posted upwards of 15 to 18 times a day. Now, before people start freaking out who are listening to this, I want to say, don't do that anymore. The algorithm has totally changed, but I wanted to mention that because it does change. So what I'm going to say now might change a few months from now or whatever. Instagram's changing all the time because it's owned by Facebook. We already established that.
Sure.
But right now, the Instagram algorithm, what you really want to be posting, one, it depends on your audience, but two, to give you an actual answer, is between 1 to 3 times a day. And that's really a good sweet spot. But I do want to say that if you look at the really higher end, or the celebrities, or the people who are doing really, really well on Instagram as far as their social proof goes and their follower count, they're posting a lot more. Well, by lots, I mean, they're frequently posting 3 to 5 times a day. And I know that that can be difficult, especially when we have a million other hats to wear as business owners. But what I really want to hone this down to is, if you want Instagram to work for you, just focus on that 1 to 3 times a day. If you can only do one, dedicate to once a day. Or if you can only do 3 times a week, dedicate to it. It will make a difference. But if you want to really, really hone down on Instagram, do 1 to 3 times a day. And that's kind of the sweet spot for Instagram right now.
Is there a way to batch process those? Like in the past, at least, they've kind of been anti-scheduling softwares where, I'm going to just create a month's worth of content and just set it and forget it? Or is that still frowned upon?
Yes. So Instagram, their policy is they do not like automation tools. They so hate them. For instance, there's a tool that was called Instagress, and it was really popular. It was a bot system that you can automate. So the bot would go through and like and comment and follow people for you 24/7 every day. And Instagram reached out to Instagress and had them closed down. Like they closed them down because they didn't like it. And that actually applies to their scheduling tools as well. So if you use any scheduling tool, this includes Hootsuite, CoSchedule, Sprout Social, almost any scheduling tool that you're going to use, you can schedule it directly on your scheduler, whether that's on your desktop or app. But when it's time to actually publish that post, you will have to open up that app, copy and paste the caption, and then open up the Instagram app and repost it there, if that makes sense. So you still have to manually post it, but you can schedule the content. And I know that that sounds like a total pain and actually might deter you from wanting to use Instagram altogether, but there are actually a lot of ways that you can make the system a lot easier and make it a lot smoother so that it can take up less of your time. And it can also be a benefit too, because when you're scheduling a tweet or tweets over and over again, which we do, we schedule a lot of tweets to go out during the day, every day, you're not actually there to engage with the content going on. You might log in every now and then, and same for Facebook, you might log in every now and then and see notifications saying, hey, someone interacted with your post that you published hours ago. Great, that's awesome. You go and like them back or whatever.
Yeah.
Instagram, I like that you actually have to manually go and publish it. You can spend the time scheduling it and batching it and save time doing that. But then when you go and manually publish it, what you can do is obviously add in those hashtags and then start engaging with the people who are engaging with you. Engage with your engagers, I like to say. Go and like and comment on your likers and commenters. And that actually will not only build up the community base and the loyalty of your community, but it can actually grow your following too, because it's getting more exposure to your account. So there's a lot of benefits to doing this, even though it sounds like a downside when I first tell it to you. And I totally get that.
Yeah, it is a pain, but that pain comes with the benefit of it's a hurdle for other companies because it's like, hey, we don't want to have to do that either,
Right.
It's just
right.
like, we'll just blast out a bunch of tweets on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you mentioned the hashtag thing. Let's talk about growing this following. So we've got our new account, we've got our username, we checked the box for business accounts, we get analytics, we did our call to action in our bio, and we've kind of developed this content strategy, but we're still blasting this out to nobody. Like, how do we get people to follow us?
The number one way for organic exposure on Instagram is through hashtags. Now, one thing I want to note is when you're using hashtags, there's a couple of elements you need to keep in mind. There's a couple of etiquette rules that you can use. One is Instagram has a limit of 30 hashtags that you can use per post. Now, every time I tell that to anyone, the first question I get is, okay, how many of those 30 hashtags should we be using? Because obviously when you add all those hashtags, it can look a little spammy, right? And some people think that when you're going through content, you just see a bunch of hashtags, you go, oh, okay, great, scroll on. You know what I mean? Like it's not, you can't interact with that very well. So one thing that I say is one, yes, use all 30 hashtags. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but listen, if you as a blogger, as a podcaster, if you have a website and you had the chance to be on Google's first page, even if it was just temporarily, even though it would go down the line and end up on page 100 later down the road, but if you had the chance of being on Google's first page for 30 different keywords, guaranteed first page, even if it was for a limited time, you would do it, right? To get that exposure on Google, to be on page number 1, that's a big deal, right? That's SEO to the max.
Yeah.
Hashtags are SEO for Instagram. What you want to do is use all 30 of them. And a quick tip to make it less spammy, but also to be able to get the benefit of using them is that I always recommend, instead of putting them in the captions, you actually just put them in the first comment. So you go ahead and publish your post, add in the image, add in your caption, describe the post, whatever, call to action, all that jazz. And then right after publishing, and you already have the app open because you didn't automatically publish it, you manually published it, you just go into that first comment and add in all those hashtags. That also, I want to note, you're not using popular hashtags or the most used hashtags. You want to use targeted hashtags for your specific business and use all 30 of them.
Okay.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah. Well, so, and imagine you're just like, you're not typing these out, man. You're like copying and pasting them from like a notes document or something. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's another trick, is don't sit there and every single time you post, you're going to do all 30, because 1, you either won't use the hashtags, or 2, you won't post. You'll just give up on this Instagram thing altogether, be like, throw up your hands, be like, this is too hard, and walk away. I get that. So one thing that I always recommend is, 1, I would actually batch the process of doing the research up front, finding targeted hashtags for your specific audience that works well with them and also works well with the type of content you're going to be publishing. Obviously, you want it to align with the content you're going to be publishing. And what I do is I always recommend finding 20 to 25 of those hashtags, targeted hashtags for your specific business that you can reuse on most, if not all, of your content, and then manually fill in those last 5 to 10 hashtags as you're publishing them. So you can publish a post, copy and paste 20, 25 hashtags that you've already researched that are targeted to your audience, and then go through that post and add in hashtags that are related to where you're located or what's going on in that post, or, that's really, really targeted to that specific content.
Okay. What's that hashtag research process look like in terms of trying to find relevant keywords? Or some of them are going to have like, a million posts and you're like, yeah, you can be on the first page, but it's like, a split second later, it's gone.
Right.
Tell me about the research and kind of like the sweet spot for the popularity of those hashtags.
Perfect. So first of all, let's talk about the popularity part, because you don't want to use the most popular hashtags, because like you were just saying, for those of you who don't know, when you use a hashtag, what happens is your post gets published to that hashtag feed, and then it's in chronological order. So as other people are using that hashtag, it automatically gets bumped down. Like I was using that analogy for Google. It's temporary, but you want to be on that first page. It's temporary that you're at the top of that hashtag feed, and it gets bumped down as other people publish to that hashtag feed. So what you want to do is you want to find targeted hashtags that are within a certain amount of post count. So if you go to a hashtag feed, you'll notice there's a little number in there. Underneath the most popular posts within that hashtag feed, there's a number. What I usually recommend is you have that number be between 10,000 and 500,000 posts. Now, this can be totally, it's a little bit arbitrary, because some people will say, okay, it's between 10 posts and 1,000,000 posts or, whatever. But I like to say 10,000 to 500,000 because that's kind of the sweet spot of it's not too targeted where nobody's going to that hashtag feed and not looking at it, but it's also not too big because people aren't, it's not running down that hashtag feed too quickly, but people are still looking at it and using it. So you want to be between 10,000 and 500,000.
Okay.
Next, what you want to do is, as far as making sure it's targeted, a couple of tricks that you can use to research your actual targeted hashtags is one, just go to the search bar directly on Instagram and type in a keyword for your industry. So if you're a personal chef, type in personal chef. If you're a coach, type in self-development coach or whatever it is. Type in your audience or your keywords to your specific business, and you'll have hashtags that'll pop up for that specific keyword. Go to those hashtags, look through the content, and another trick that you can do is obviously, if it has that post count, you can add that to your list. But one thing you can do is go to the most popular. There's like at the top of the hashtag feed, you'll have a popular post, like I think it's 6 to 9 posts up there.
Okay.
You can go into those posts, look at their captions and their first comments and see what hashtags they're using and see if there's other similar hashtags that you could use within that. Because obviously, if they're using the hashtag you just used with your keyword, there might be a similar one that you can use for your list as well for your specific content.
Gotcha. So I searched hashtag side hustle, 238,000 posts. So it's kind of right in the middle of that sweet spot. And then I would click on those and see, and it's also brought up a whole list of suggestions here, but I'll go into there, look at the top posts, and then kind of dig into the related or see what other hashtags that those top posts are using and kind of go down the rabbit hole and build my tag cloud that way.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a rabbit hole. Yeah, but it's a good rabbit hole. And also there's a related hashtags I think you mentioned that at the top that'll show you other hashtags that other people are using while they're using that same hashtag you just researched.
Cool. Okay, so the hashtag thing, that's one way to be discovered because people like instead of just going through their feed, they might be searching for specific topics or they might follow certain hashtags.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems silly, like you don't think, because I don't always do this. I don't always go to hashtags just to look up random content, but people do that. Your target audience definitely does that. It's a really great way to get that exposure to your account.
Okay. What else have you got for growing a following?
Another way that you can get the exposure to your account organically other than Facebook ads is you can actually just like and comment other people's accounts. Now, some people are going to be like, okay, how's that supposed to work? Because if I like someone's post, that's great. I'm just another liker in their notifications of likes and comments. They're probably not going to notice me one, and even if they do, what's their point in following me? What you want to do is you want to get in their notification feed as much as possible without being spammy. So one thing that I like to recommend is go and find your target audience on Instagram by using those hashtags, by using maybe your competitors' followers. You can go and look through and see what types of content they're publishing, what hashtags they're publishing, and use that as a base of operations to find your target audience. And what you want to do is you want to go to their accounts and engage with them. Oh my gosh, be human, right? Like how dare we actually go and engage with someone that we think we could have a solution for them for their problem using our product or service. So what you want to do is you want to go to their account and get into their notifications.
So I can click on somebody, a competitor of mine or kind of somebody in the same space, and I click on their followers and it'll bring up a list of everybody who's following them. And then I can start going through going down that rabbit hole and like seeing what they're posting.
Yeah, correct. And I know some people are like, oh, that seems spammy, like going through my competitors. Well, one, if that makes you feel uneasy or weird, that's fine. I mean, you can just use this, like I said, base of operations, get an idea of the type of target audience they have. Or what you could do is you can go to an influencer within your industry that's not necessarily a competitor. That's a great way to do that. You can just look within your industry. Or an example I like to use is go to other people within your industry that are complementary to your business. Let's say that you're a wedding cake decorator. Maybe what you do is go to the other industry leaders that are maybe caterers or wedding dress owners. Obviously, these have the same target audience as you, beautiful brides who are looking for you to hire you for their beautiful day. So you want to find other people within your industry that complement your own, those accounts, and there's plenty of them. Once you start to research this, it's definitely a rabbit hole. And what I like to do is just batch this all at once, do all this research at once, and then let it ride for a while. You don't have to do this every single time you open up your Instagram app.
Okay. Yeah, this sounds time consuming. How many hours a day are you putting into this? Or like what kind of time would be reasonable for somebody to invest to start to see some results?
This is actually really easy for me to answer because when I run other people's accounts or if I have clients that I'm running this for them, it's so easy. I don't do this every single day. I don't even do this every single week. What I do is when we sign up a contract, I get basic information from them. I maybe do a strategy call with them to get ideas of their target audience, type of content they want, yada, yada. And then I sit down and do this once. And I sit down and do this. Maybe it'll take me 2 to 3 hours to sit down and really bulk this out, but then we're done. And they might be with me for months and months and months thereafter. We might tweak this strategy as we go, but really those 2 or 3 hours of work lasts for months and months and months. So it sounds like a lot, but in the long haul, it's a lot of benefit up front, especially when you batch it, and it's really not that much work.
Okay. Do you play the follow, unfollow game?
So I did a whole episode on this because it's like just one of those strategies you gotta like kind of bang yourself on the head for. So for those of you who don't know, there's a strategy called the follow unfollow game where marketers will follow you if you're your target audience. They'll just follow a ton of people, sometimes whether or not you're their target audience or not. And then the trick is to get you to follow them back, because that's naturally what we like to do, right? Oh my gosh, you like me? Okay, I like you too. And you'll follow them back. And then the next day they'll unfollow you. So it's kind of a popular high school game that we like to play. That's totally fine, but it doesn't work. And the reason why is because when you're doing this, one, a lot of people who are doing this, like I said, they're not looking for their target audience. They're just looking to grow a following, which I understand because there's that whole social proof thing. Yeah. The problem is that if you're growing that type of a following that's not targeted to you and is so unsolid, it doesn't have a great foundation, because obviously you already got a lot of distrust with them. You followed them and then you unfollowed them the next day. Whether or not they notice that, it's already kind of shaky grounds that you're standing on. But when you go to sell to them, if they're not your target audience, if you haven't been engaging with them because you're not following with them, you're not commenting or liking on their posts like they are with you, they're not going to buy from you. So there's like no point doing this. It's great to have those numbers and that popularity contest of having that social proof built up. And I totally get that.
Yeah.
But as a business, you want to be able to sell to them and have them buy from you. And you can't do that if they're fake followers. You can't do that if you haven't built up that relationship pipeline with them. You can't do that if there's that alienation, or if you haven't really been able to build up that relationship with them.
And how about the share for share thing, where it's like, okay, I'm going to find similar accounts or complementary accounts, share their picture, and then they're going to share one of mine. And it's like, we try and make it so a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, does that still work?
Actually, this isn't a very popular strategy because a lot of people don't put in the work to do this, but this strategy does work. But you do have to put in the work for it. It does take a little bit more work.
Okay.
You have to find someone within your industry who complements your own, who is not a competitor, but someone within your industry who's an influencer. You want them to have about the same amount of followers as you. Or if they have, let's say, double the amount of followers with you, that's fine too. We can negotiate. That's cool. Negotiating is definitely on the table. It's okay in this game, in this strategy. And what you do is you reach out to them and say, hey, we've got similar audiences, and I think you are fantastic. You obviously engage with your audience. They love you. I think you're great. I think that we could really do something for each other and bring value to each other's audiences. You really want to play on that and understand that the point is to add value to each other's audiences. Yes, you're going to siphon each other's audiences, but do it in the right way, not in a sleazy, let's just, like you said, rise the tide, which is great, but not just to siphon each other, but you want to offer value. So you offer to share each other's content. And the way that this works is when you share each other's content, you add an @ handle, or you mention them within your caption, and the people who are seeing your post are seeing that handle. They're seeing that you're giving them praise. They see that you're saying, oh my gosh, this person's so great, or their product is awesome, or I just tried it out. You should try it out too. Obviously, don't say that if you haven't really done that, but let's say you did. They click on their @ handle, they check out their account. They're similar to what you're doing. They like you, so they're going to follow them too, and it helps grow their following, and vice versa, grows your following as well. This does work, but you do have to be careful. One, don't work with competitors. I know, again, obvious, but it's a rule. Don't work with competitors. And two, make sure it's an influencer that has a good, solid audience. They don't have fake followers. They engage with their audience members, and their target audience is very similar to your own.
Okay.
Don't just go and try and, like I said, try and grow your following as quickly as you can by doing this. Make sure it's people that you can actually give that solution of your product or service to and resonate with them.
Is there, if you like a picture, is there an easy way to like regram it, like retweet it? Is there some way to do that? It seems like, oh, that would be cool. That would be relevant to my followers. I'd love to give this person some love and share that. But it's like, I don't know how to capture that picture and get it done.
I know. This is one of the things that is so annoyingly beautiful about Instagram, is that you can't, like on Twitter, you can quickly retweet it at a click of a button, or Facebook, you can quickly repost or share another person's content. You can't do that on Instagram. There's not a quick share button, but there are a couple of solutions. For one, there's an app called Repost. You just download it, and then all you have to do is click that little ... the drop-down menu button on top of a post, and you copy the URL, and then you just open up the Repost app, and it'll help you repost it. It'll copy and paste everything for you and repost it, and you just have to put that publish button.
Okay.
Another thing that I like to do, and this might seem really so simple and silly, but I literally just screenshot the post. I know that seems so simple, but it works. I just screenshot it and then I repost it. I either reuse their caption and then tag them in it. That's another thing is Instagram etiquette. Always, always, always source the person that you shared it with, because we can't easily click the button to share it. We can't give credit to them. So, which Twitter and Facebook automatically do when you share content. So make sure you always, that's nice Instagram etiquette, but also, as far as business goes, you can kind of get in trouble for it. So always @mention and give credit where credit is due.
Sure. Do you have a rule of thumb for, the jab, right hook thing? How many of my posts should be purely content versus, here's a call to action, buy my thing, join my email list, listen to my podcast, whatever it is?
Yeah, I love it. So this goes back to the content strategy that I was mentioning before. When you're picking out the types of content you want to be creating, the promotions are naturally going to be built into that, because obviously, okay, I'm going to give a how-to, or I'm going to repurpose this Facebook Live into an Instagram video. You can do that. And as you're creating this content, you'll realize that you can actually implement not only promotional posts within that, like saying, oh, here's my product, along with all this other value content, so go buy it. But you can also build in those promos or add in those call to actions to buy your product within your value content. So for instance, let's go back to the types of content I was mentioning before. When you're creating that lifestyle post, maybe you're showing a fashion, like an actual fall fashion or a fall outfit to go along with that piece of jewelry. Yeah, you're not directly having a product image of your jewelry, but you can say, oh my gosh, doesn't this fall fashion or this fall outfit look so great? And it would look so well with our brand new piece that we just came out with. Oh, and by the way, we've got a great sale going on right now. Go ahead and click the link in our bio and you can get it. Oh, and by the way, we're also, JV'd with this other business or whatever. So you can get this exact outfit with his jewelry, whatever it is. That's probably going more in depth than you need.
Okay. And then you update your URL for that specific post or for like that specific time period. And then a couple of days later, you change it back to whatever it normally is.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. One thing I like to do personally, and again, this kind of goes back to the personal brand side of things, but I like to have one specific URL or one specific promo per month. So every now and then I'll change it up more than that if I have to, if I have like a really big promo going on or discount going on. But generally I like to not switch it up more than a month. One, because it can be kind of a pain. And two, you want to be able to give it enough time to understand the analytics side of it and understand the data that you're pulling from however much traffic and conversion rates that you're getting through that.
Gotcha. Well, Allie, this is fascinating stuff. Obviously, a new frontier for me on the Instagram world. If your Instagram account is maybe due for a little makeover based on some of the stuff we talked about, I encourage you to check out Allie's Instagram account, Fixer Upper. It's a free 3-part video training at alliemcadam.com/sidehustler. And if you want to dive into this stuff, she's got dozens and dozens of episodes on this stuff at alliemcadam.com. Check out the Passion in Business podcast. Let's wrap this thing up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation.
Just to not undervalue yourself. And that's something I have struggled with and I still struggle with. And it's so simple. But I think that just valuing yourself can overcome so many different obstacles, whether that's not being able to reach a large enough audience, not getting enough conversions, not being able to find a product feature that's really going to put your specific product over the top or stand out from your competition. I think what it comes down to is if you value yourself well enough, if you value the product, the work that you've put into it, you're going to make it happen. You're going to put in the work to make it so that it is what you know it is in your head and you can share it with the rest of the world. So that's my biggest thing is don't undervalue yourself. Even though I'm still working on it, I think that it's something that is so important because the more that I do, the more that I benefit from that lesson.
Yeah, you and me both. Don't undervalue yourself. I like that one. Allie, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you soon.
Nick, you're fantastic. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, tax time is upon us, my friends. The time of year when the snow is falling, New Year's resolutions are still optimistically intact, and more than a few listeners of the show are digging their way out from a pile of receipts and spreadsheets. So if you find yourself in that boat and you're getting buried in paperwork, I want to invite you to go and check out the FreshBooks.com cloud accounting software. Not only is it going to save you a ton of time and stress, it might actually change the way you feel about dealing with your taxes. For example, if you need to send your accountant a quick summary of the amount of tax you've collected over the course of the year or a quick profit and loss summary statement, FreshBooks can generate these types of reports in seconds instead of the hours it might take you to do them manually. You can even set FreshBooks up to import expenses directly from your bank accounts, which means next time you use your debit card for that meal you're taking a client out, that piece of software, or a new computer, boom, that purchase is instantly recorded inside FreshBooks. It's made for entrepreneurs, freelancers, and side hustlers like us, especially those among us who don't like dealing with numbers and taxes. And right now, FreshBooks is offering a 30-day unrestricted free trial to Side Hustle Show listeners. To claim it, just go to freshbooks.com/sidehustle and enter the Side Hustle Show in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Again, that's freshbooks.com/sidehustle to start your 30-day free trial today. All right, my top takeaways from this call with Allie. Number one, what's the point? Yes, your audience is probably on Instagram, and yes, you could probably use Allie's methods to get in front of them, but what does that get you? What does that do for you? Building a following for following's sake is probably a recipe for frustration and burnout, since by the sounds of it, there's a lot of manual posting and engagement that has to happen there. It's like my friend Ryan Gray would say about what's the best way to build a podcast audience? One listener at a time. So think first about why you'd want somebody to follow you on Instagram, and then you can kind of reverse engineer how to find them, how to make that happen, and what that is perhaps worth to you. So that's takeaway number one. Figure out why you want to do that in the first place. Takeaway number two is to build the foundations. That would be your profile, your hashtag cloud, and your content strategy, and maybe your call to action inside of your profile. So this is the stuff you've got to have in order so that when target clients or customers or followers do find you, they recognize, hey, this is somebody worth following. And so that's takeaway number two, is kind of build that foundation. And takeaway number three is to get off your own profile. Starting your Instagram effort is a lot like starting a blog. It feels like you're making progress, and you are, but still nobody knows you exist. That means you've got to be proactive about engaging with other people's content on the platform so you show up in their notifications. That means taking advantage of those hashtags, which Allie described as Instagram SEO. I really like that analogy. That means sharing other people's pictures and letting them know about that. And maybe it means working out some share for share deals like we talked about. But I'm curious, is Instagram an important channel for your business, or do you see it becoming one in the future? And what about Instagram stories? Like, I've obviously got still a lot to learn, but that's what makes the stuff exciting. Let me know what you think about Instagram in general, in this episode specifically, at sidehustlenation.com/Allie. Again, ALLIE. While you're there, you'll be able to download the free PDF highlight reel with all of Allie's top tips from this conversation. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, let's go out there and make something happen. And I'll catch you in the next edition of The Side Hustle Show. Hustle on.
Thanks for listening to The Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.